All right, guys, here we are to talk about the movie, The Beastmaster.
Ooh.
So before you rewatch it this time, when was the last time you saw The Beastmaster?
I watched it on channel like 11 when I was a kid.
The first Beastmaster, which is what we're talking about now, I have not seen it yet since a long time ago.
It was a very long time
and
ago.
Yeah, it would have been channel 11.
Did you think or take notes of like what you could remember?
I had the blueprint of it. I remembered. I remembered like where it ended. There were a couple of bits across the middle that I didn't remember, and
Yeah.
I was watching it the whole time, like trying to remember. I'm like, when does he lose that throwing weapon? Why don't we ever see that again? And then like at the end you see, because he gives it to that kid, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's why. Because it's a cool thing. Throwing weapons like in the 80s was like the thing. Everyone had a cool different type of style. You had like your collection of weapons and this and that.
And it's like the Xena chakram thing, whatever. Yeah. No, I wrote down weasels, a car ? Moat, and then I wrote bad ethnics.
I believe they are ferrets.
Yes, they are totally ferrets. I'm not sure what the difference is between a weasel and a ferret. I think weasel's a funnier word, so all of my notes say weasel. They say weasel, panther, and bird.
Okay.
That's what I did. And I believe it is a tiger and a hawk and ferrets.
The tiger I was staring at because I'm like, all right, I'm watching it on DVD now.
Is this a tiger in blackface?
That's what I was trying to see, because in certain ones you can see like a different tonality and stripes, and I don't know enough about them to say, are black tigers still have stripes, but all the pigment is black?
It's a different thing.
Or are they sheer black? What am I looking at? And I still don't know.
Let me address my list, though. So,
okay.
Car ? I believe that's Beastmaster 2.
Yes.
A portal through time.
2 or 3, actually.
One of them involves like modern day or something like that, right? So once I watched this, I was like, okay, that's probably 2. The moat is in it, and that stood out to me as like a kid. The bad ethnics comment, I think, is either from 13th Warrior or maybe a later Beastmaster, where I remember even as a kid thinking, all the bad guys are some other non-white ethnicity, and it's a little creeping me out or something like that. But that was definitely not the case in this movie, where everyone's extremely white.
Yes,
for no reason.
All except for, and I can't remember his name, the right hand of the king.
Yes.
He's famous. He was in that comedy show with LL Cool J. What was that?
Yeah,
called?
I've seen him around. I forget.
He was like the colonel, and he's in a lot of things. But
that
guy, he did. Like it's a very weird poll. Like you would have thought they would have explained him because of how much he stood out for this time period thing.
I don't know what fantasy world this takes place in. And
Well, that's
all
what I
that
mean.
Stuff,
Like
right?
I'm
so
like, what is it?
He has to come from somewhere. But just like Robin Hood has a black friend, so does Beastmaster.
It's just I always think it's funny though when like it seems so.
Conan had Grace Jones, right? Everyone, in all these movies, they would work in a character.
Isn't it so weird though? They like seem to make a point of having no one else of any other color or race, like literally 100% white people in this like whole movie. It seems.
Yeah.
And then you have like one dude, and you're like, why?
I think it's an artifact of the time. Is like this one's gonna be, this character is supposed to be exotic, and he'll say, "My people have a saying," and all that stuff, and you're like, all right, whatever, right? It's not the worst. It's relatively harmless.
I just think
right?
I just wonder if they are purposely making it like, no, none of the extras can be anything
weird.
but white, because we have to make this guy seem more special, and that seems so strange to me. And it's just, and a lot of movies, like the 80s were a different time than they are now.
Yeah,
it's a little weird. Other things that stood out to me as weird, just jumping around like as to what I can recall as
I have the whole plot synopsized in order.
Well, we'll get back to that.
But feel free to jump around.
Before I forget.
Yeah.
So, there's 2 scenes that didn't make sense to me.
Oh, good. Only 2?
Only 2 that really stood out. Other ones I have problems with, but these 2. So originally you have the bird, and I forgot what the bird's name was. Do you recall the bird's name?
Until you said it.
But the bird's flying, and he's like, okay, I've spotted them. There they are. All right, we see them. Then it cuts back, and it's like day and night when he's looking and when he's not. And he comes back, and it jumps back to the other thing. And I'm like, all right. And then they're like, okay, we have 5 women in white. We have 5 of the princesses or whatever.
That scene, yeah.
And then
by the mountain.
And then when they get there, and they they're by the dock and whatnot, they save the girl.
Yeah.
There's no mention of the 4 girls. You don't ever even see them.
I know.
And I'm like, what the hell was that? Did you just forget they existed?
They never even show them running off.
No.
They've been in the movie up until that point, and then they're just gone from that point on.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we give some overall thoughts before we dig into what happened in the movie or whatever?
Sure. What do you got?
This was it kind of falls apart at different points, but there are parts of this that I didn't remember enough of the movie to be like nostalgic about it, but I still thought it was kind of like delightful. I think I have like a general nostalgia about this whole thing because I'm thinking of like Lady Hawk and like other movies from this time, like the He-Man thing, like various different movies from around.
Has a very Conan vibe.
I was gonna say like Conan. There's if you go look up the thing, there's a whole list of like on IMDb. Even like Willow, which is I think later. This is like this is one of like the earliest ones. Honestly, this is like '82. This is like a long time ago. This movie's older than me though. Luckily, barely, but like yes. Very old. So like watching this, it just felt good how like we would just go from sequence to sequence. There's like not a lot of dialogue. There's not a lot of explanation. They don't feel the need to characterize like minor characters. They just go like, well, he's the bad guy. She's a witch thing. Like whatever. It's very like just what it is what it is. It's just very like out there, right? Which was
a lot
like
of cool concepts get written down and then they get put in like it just jumped.
Yeah.
Like, well, how can we make that in and just fit it in? Like.
Well, no one had to be like, oh, well, we can't just have a scene with that. We have to explain like what's going on. And you're like, they explain like the one thing, like the Death Guard thing or something like that.
Yeah.
But in general,
they explain that one in a lot of detail, and then it doesn't really pay off that much. Where
At
like
all.
only one like it even engages them when we know there are hundreds in like a little cavern thing that they could have just let loose and destroyed everybody.
I know. There's like that's what I mean. So like ultimately at the end of the day, I can't be like, oh, you have to see because stuff like doesn't get addressed or things happen in a weird order or things happen and you're just like, okay, that's crazy or something like that. But it was just so nice to see. Like it has that old type of sound design where like everyone's dubbing like every line seemingly, right? It's all very weirdly like crisp and like front of the mix, and there's like epic swirling or like surging music through all these parts of it, and then it cuts wide and there's like 3 people and you're like, okay. And like they're real animals. They're not like CG weird animals.
No,
like, the animals are there. There's a stuntman getting like jumped on by the tiger. Like it's just really happening. It just feels like, yep, it's happening, right?
I loved like everything about these kind of movies as a kid was my jam. I fancied myself. I will grow up and I will be a
Beastmaster.
And I will do things and I will blah blah blah. And I want to save the animals and like that was like a big thing. And I think movies like this like made me think that was a possibility before you realize like there are no barbarians.
I've been alive for 7 whole years and I haven't seen one real barbarian. This is starting to
you assume they're all in the woods, and I'm not in the real woods.
Right. You have to earn your ticket out into the wasteland barbarian thing where you save maidens and do stuff or whatever.
But I love it like a true action adventure movie that these were like in the fantasy realms and like things you're like, what is that? Like the bird people.
Yes.
And like they can only glide, they can't fly. So like they envy and
is that why?
Now these same...
Are you making that up?
Now, hang on.
And I thought they were like bat people because they have these disgusting membranes or whatever.
These same characters are in another movie. And I can't remember if it... And like they're not exactly the same, but it's...
Did they just like reuse the
I can't
costumes?
Remember if it's like... If I'm just placing my like 8-year-old's mind saying those are the same ones.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it's a later Beastmaster one or if it's like the Harry Hamlin Clash of the Titans. Like it's something, and I remember whatever that is explaining it more to me. Like they're on an island.
Got more background
and
about
those
these
things.
Yeah.
Are on the island and they can't fly off because they can only glide, like they can't fly.
Okay.
And like they worship the birds because birds can fly, and like they like try to mimic what they do and whatever. And
I don't think those are the same things as these things.
I think they are.
Or if they are, only if there's some like extended.
It
universe
might be in the next Beastmaster that gets. I can't remember where I have that information from, but it's in my head and I used it like while watching this, and that's why like their totem is a raven or whatever, and like this and that. It doesn't explain how they got from where they are to there.
Well, but like So this is one of those things, just to like take, so like an early scene comes up and he just ends up in this place, and I'm like, is this the temple? Are they cannibals? What's going on?
Yeah, there's no explanation.
Oh,
it's just there. There are creatures and fantasy animals. And
there's just crazy bat, and like he like does like a shower curtain hug around the guy, and he moves around, and his bones fall out or whatever, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
And for whatever reason, they're making a giant stew. They seemingly eat things by just sucking all the. Why is there a stew?
What's going on? No, I know. And like then it just never comes up again until it comes up again in the craziest way. We're at the final, like the Hawks? What do they call them? Eagles from Lord of the Rings. At the very last minute, they show up. And they can fly. It's crazy. But they can't show it or whatever. They don't have the money to actually show that. And like like the leader of the slimy bat monsters has this moment with Dar where they like, he gives him this nod. Like this Fast and Furious style nod. Like, yeah, bro. And then they like leave. Like, you're cool. You hang out with the bird or whatever. And like, what? It was this crazy thing. I kind of love it, but that's crazy.
I loved it so much. Yeah. I love the covering the moat, like,
well,
like, all right, let's cover this up. And like, they don't really explain what it is, if it's tar or whatever. But
he says tar sludge.
Yeah, but it doesn't say what it is.
We don't have the chemical formula. No.
Yeah, like you don't know if it's flammable, if they added something to it to make it flammable. But regardless, it's just this wonderful thing, and I'm like, I love that.
Yeah, like I watch things for like, well, apparently without knowing it, when I was a kid, I would like watch things for like cool stuff or whatever, right?
Sure.
So I feel like this, like in like the 5 minutes before I hit play, I was like thinking like, what can I remember from this? And like I knew about the different animals and like some of the stuff and saving people and fighting people and bad cultists or whatever. But like I wrote down moat. I'm like, oh, that moat thing was awesome. That like stuck with me for like years and years and years. And like
it is dope.
Well, like seeing it now, it's like it's not this genius thing that I figured out. It's like so on the nose. He says out loud, "Make it look like dry land," and I'm like, oh, I thought like I figured out what they were doing as like a kid or something like that. But like no. But yeah, like all the villagers come up with like baskets of dirt and they're like throwing it onto the moat to hide the moat because the Juns wouldn't know about the moat for some reason, even though they should. But whatever.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I'm like, maybe they're not familiar enough with it. They think it's dark. I don't think they're at the moat yet. But whatever. It worked. It was nice. It slowed them down.
Yeah, and they pulled the bridge back, so like everything adds up to me. I'm like, okay, I can accept that. That's awesome. And you get this big set piece with the torches and lighting it and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's great. But like I like remembered that. I think I had like dreams or nightmares for years, and it was like this concept of like you could have this like horrible moat thing, but like cover it up to make it look like it was just part of like the desert, like seamlessly, and then be galloping along on your horse and fall into it and panic everything or whatever. Yeah.
I would have liked if like the fire happened a little sooner. I understand like that moment with the prince and whatever. But you'd think, why wouldn't you just shoot an arrow into it? Why would you run out?
And like to rely on that, and then to like rely on like well closing the gate and doing the thing. And there's so many things that are like, okay, so like the ferret had to exactly do this at exactly the same moment as that, and this, all that stuff. Just that
Kodo and Poto know what they're doing.
Just while we're on general concepts, I love like the way the power's depicted here and all that stuff. Because he can see through their eyes, and they are his friends. He like at one point they're like, "Is he yours?" And he says, "Sometimes we fight together." He doesn't say like he's not mind controlling them. Like he kind of has to convince them to do what it is, right? And like that's so much more interesting and better to me than like I know. Is there an animal nearby? And he like breaks through the window and fights the thing, right? Where it's like
and like I was a big fan of the Beastmaster TV show, which
there was a TV show.
Oh yeah, it was on for many years.
Dear Lord,
it was on like an hour-long adventure show, much like Xena and Hercules. You had Dar and the mythos changed a little bit.
Is it Mark Singer or somebody else?
Mark Singer comes in later days, and he plays like a mentor to him. But no, it is another guy playing Dar himself. And Tao, who I believe is the name of the kid, plays his best friend, who is like an inventor of sorts.
He plays Aeolus.
He is the Aeolus of this show.
That's kicking.
Down to like making thing Briscoe County Jr. style, like inventions and this and that.
Heart.
He is like
Wonderful.
from a race of intelligent people who they don't fight. They are artists and this and that.
Scholars or whatever. Yeah.
And much like in this one, they don't explain Dar's powers the same way. Dar's family is also killed, and then you find out Dar actually was adopted by those people, and he's from a long line, and he's a prince, and this and that. And he has to escape from his family, and it gets complicated. But
there's complicated stuff in this with like the lineage and all that stuff.
Like how he became the Beastmaster in this is very strange.
Yes.
So they were preparing to sacrifice him, and by giving him this mark before killing him and then not killing him, somehow gave him this power.
No, I think it was being transferred magically into the
into the animal. You think that
into a womb of an animal? Yes, which is so like I don't remember that. That's crazy. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I actually didn't remember that at all.
That's super great. And like even that, she just pours like glow stick onto their necks, which you just have to understand is like pinning them or like paralyzing them or
that
something like that.
Reminded me of
which is great.
What movie did that with? Was that True Blood? Where like the thin thing is silver? Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Like they put silver, like bracelets or necklaces, just kind of drape it over them, and they're like stuck to the thing.
Yeah.
And they like can't whatever. Yeah, but stuff like that. Not explaining it, just having a witch do something, and then having it be a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just showing the belly, right?
Yeah.
Without like having weird lasers or something going. Like I don't know. Like I know they did a lot of this stuff because they didn't have the ability to do more or like different things.
I thought it was perfect the way it was. I don't think it needed more.
No, that's what I mean though. Like we watch a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of like they had. It seems like today we have so much money and we have the CG and we can do whatever we want, like literally, but we don't actually like. They don't get the mix right of like what do you tell me, what do you show me, how long do you spend on something, right? And here, even though there's some rough patches, there's a lot of great stuff like that. Where like I feel like a kid watching it now, where I kind of have to like infer.
No, it's like nostalgia fuel. It's wonderful.
I get, yeah. Well, that's why it's hard for me because I don't know if I'm like remembering.
I feel increases more when watching things like this, where I'm like, all right, and then what happened? Like you feel like the kid sitting Indian style in front of the TV again.
But I don't know if that's because my brain remembers this movie more than like I thought I did, or if it's actually just because of what this movie is versus like a modern movie. Because he doesn't say I see through their eyes and they see through mine until like an hour into the movie. You just have to get it from the fact that they keep showing it to you, right?
Yeah.
But he never says it. It never comes up. There's entire sequences, not just scenes, where like setup, action, results, resolution, leaving, where there's like no dialogue. There's no voiceover. There's no one says you are the Beastmaster. They just go like uh-oh, like and it's just this fun. Like everyone's like okay, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to get like when he stabs the ring and like the one witch screams and like grabs her face, right? You go, oh, you don't have to have this weird thing where you explain that like it's magic and it's linked and it's a thing. It just it just clicks. You don't have to, right?
How powerful was that witch like in the first scene? She's like using the force on him and shit.
Yeah, and that was very.
If all of them have this power, why don't they do that shit more?
I know. The other thing that once I saw it, I like vividly remembered was the witch shimmying up, onto the ceiling.
Yeah,
and all
that
stuff.
clearly is like a track that's sliding her up.
Yeah, but like
I remember that part
something
too,
about
with
that
seeing through. Is it Rue's eyes? Yeah, and then stabs. Stabs up.
Like the tiger, peeking through. Through the hole. But that's so cool. Even like that alone, being able to see through the eyes of the different animals and coordinate what like what you're doing and all that stuff. And the fact that they're not like mindless servants again, where it's kind of like, nope, stay on target, stop it, what are you doing? Like they could have a thing where the animal gets distracted by something. And he's like, no, I said this or whatever. Okay, fine.
In the series, he never uses a sword. He uses like a big bow staff.
Okay.
Because he doesn't take lives. Like that's like his thing. He's like
all
the
life
man.
Is precious.
Like in this, he's more on like a self-serving mission. I see this girl; she's pretty. I want her, and I will save this whole nation just to get her.
Yeah.
While in the show, he was more like always out to save animals, like stop hunters, this and that. King Zad, who is the blind man.
Yeah.
Is played as the bad guy in the TV show.
Okay.
He is like a warlord taking over different areas of like with his barbarians.
But he's
skulls.
But he's back. He's not dead. They just use that name.
Just the name, I think. I don't think the show just takes like the general premise. Like he still has two ferrets, a tiger, and a hawk.
A bird.
But other than that, like it's not really the same thing.
No, I'm cool with that. Like, 'cause even if you go back to watch the Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, or Xena like movies, it's not quite the same. Some of the stuff's like not. They like adapted it to make it into a show to like, fit it better or whatever. Which is totally there's nothing wrong with that. I dig it.
There's a like the goddess of the forest or whatever who like he often has to report to, and like she'll threaten to like to kill him if he doesn't save her animals.
That's weird. That's
I
fine.
can't remember what her name is, but she's the one that has the legs that are flipped backwards. So, like, if you're trying to get away from her, you're actually walking right towards her. If you're trying to find her, you're walking away from her.
That's crazy. I don't remember that.
I loved it as a child.
I love it. Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, because her footprints will be backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
And like, she can suck the life out of you and leave an empty like skin sack.
Who can't though? That's
well,
wonderful.
Just saying.
No, I like the staff because the staff weaponry in this was cool. The the big dude Seth is just fighting with like a tree trunk. It's like this giant stick and just knocking everything over.
Dara's staff in the later seasons has like a click apart and it comes into two sticks that you can club people down with, and then it clicks back in. It's like made of ivory too. It's like
I don't know how I missed that whole show. That's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, it is.
I wish I had watched that back in the day. I think I was probably just like a little too old to watch those shows at that exact moment.
Maybe.
I don't know what year it was out or if you watched it.
It was in the 2000s.
In serial. Oh, wow. Okay. That's much more recent then. No, I was out of the house. I was doing stuff.
It was on Sundays. I'd watch it like that, Relic Hunter, Xena, Hercules, like.
Okay. I watched the earlier seasons of Hercules and Xena live, but then I got swept off into activities. Lots of stuff for activities.
What else happens in this movie that's
I was
interesting?
going to say, if we're going to just keep jumping around, which I feel bad because of all these notes, but that's fine. I'm not
what do you got on these notes?
I'm not bitter at all. No,
I'm
just going to synopsize the plot and talk about things as we got to them in order, but now it's hopeless.
Well, you know how I don't do notes.
I
just talk about the things that need to be talked about.
Yeah. I figured we could go through the whole thing. That's fine. That's fine. I just thought I'll just throw it in the trash. That's fine. No, just to think of other stuff as it comes to me. I like that. Speaking of what I said earlier, the prime example for me is that they don't have to characterize the head of the Juns. He has no dialogue. He's just the bad guy, right? And the big bad guy, the evil emperor, who's Rip Torn, which is amazing.
Did he have a fake nose in the first scene?
I wrote. But only
it got less fake as it went on.
But only in the first scene, right?
Yes.
Rip Torn's nose is like a beak, I wrote in my notes.
And then it wasn't. And I was like, and then when it wasn't later on, because I started staring at it more, I'm like, oh, are you imagining the first half?
You must have been a strange lighting angle or something. Yeah. No, it was like a crazy beak in the first scene, which made him look even more ridiculous. Because he has these crazy eyebrows and these weird, braid hair things, weird tiny dreads. It's wonderful though. He's the best worst bad guy ever. I love his delivery. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
I hate it, but I love it. But yeah, so I don't know. So if I had to rewrite the script though, right? They would humiliate him. He would get away. Then you would fight the Juns. Then you would go to the temple and have to deal with death guards and cultists and witches. And then finally at the end kill Mayox and then claim your prize or whatever, right? He would kidnap the girl and steal right. You'd fix the order because right now the real bad guy dies and then you have to wait for the bad guy with no dialogue to show up.
But
and
the bad guy with no dialogue is the one that killed his father. So he is the ultimate bad guy.
Okay, sure.
So I don't think I can see what you're saying, but I think as the order of operations, he was the original bad guy, and that's why it ends on him as the ultimate bad guy.
Sure, Mayox was.
And he's got a cool weapon that's like an anchor.
No, I like that fight, and that would have been the jump before the ending thing, because you can't you shouldn't have a really elaborate fight with the high priest of the evil cult.
Of course not.
Even though they kind of did, he was giving him some problems for a minute there, and
for a moment
the animals had to help and all that stuff. But I don't know about that. No, I see what you're saying. Mayox was there during the attack on the village too, though. It's kind of his decision, though. So I feel he's the evil emperor and Darth Vader is the head of the Juns, basically, and you kind of want to do it like that. But we don't have to copy Star Wars exactly, only kind of. It's fine. No, it's good times. No, I liked the weapon, the skull, the fighting, the whole thing.
No, it has all the elements that I need for any good hero. of this time period anyway, it seemed like had like a series of things at their disposal. And it was like, I have a fancy weapon that does this, and I have a blah blah, and the sword of my father, and I have animals, and the power to do, and like that's what I need. That's all I need. I need like a person that has like a bunch of little things and gimmicks, and to go on and do their thing.
That's a great point, because that's in my notes, so I can talk about this.
Sure.
He says, like, you know, my eyes, my cunning, and now my strength, and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
And one of the only voiceovers, one of the only corny dubs in things is, like, his father telling him, his, like, you know, like, adoptive father telling him, like, you know, take my sword, take my caber, take my thing, you gotta go and defend the thing, right? That's, like, his, like, quest, his, like, mission and all that stuff. And there was a great little scene to, like, demonstrate that when he runs into the bandits who are, like, gonna use the tiger for target practice, right? And he literally, we get the throwing weapon, we get the sword fighting, the weasels like steal the arrow and like sabotage the bow.
I thought that was hysterical.
All that stuff's like fabulous.
They take the bolt so he can't fucking fire.
Yeah.
Like you think like, oh, he'll chew like the rope or like make it so they can't shoot it, but no, he just fucks them.
They steal away the thing, but that's wonderful. And then like the bird like who like scouted already comes back around and like mauls a dude's face who is going to shoot him or do something. Like they use every literal element of the whole thing. So as a kid, you're like freaking out. Like this is wonderful. This like because. Nothing is worse than having a thing that they're saving for the end or something that like they don't use, or like we have these 10 things and we're going to use 6 of them and then forget about the rest because we ran out of money or time.
I hate when like people have powers and then something happens in a show and I'm like, why didn't he just turn like like into mist and go into the door?
Yeah,
the budget.
Well, see, it wasn't enough. He didn't have enough mana to
We've
do that
established that he has a shrinking machine. Why didn't he just shrink that?
Exactly. So like in this scene, or early on to kick it off, and then later in like more of the finale stuff, they give everybody something to do. It's wonderful. Even at the end, where like the bird has not much to do. The bird was going to get the bat monsters or whatever. Yeah. I can't call them bird monsters. There's not a single feather, but they have like a beak-like thing. I don't know what's going on with them. The winged creatures. But yeah, the tiger. Did the tiger do anything? Maybe not.
The tiger was guarding the people.
Yeah. Yeah, but you get the things where like I love the ferrets in the pipe and the death guard smashing the pipe trying to get them, and it goes too early, too late, and they like run through and all that stuff. That are wonderful. They
lug those keys for nothing.
I know, and he says a little late. Like there's like action movie things and all that stuff.
I think it's funny that the Death Guard will kill any living thing. And that proves like they'll even kill their own people. Like they're like so the worst thing. Like that's why they're in the little fucking like prison shanty thing to put their arms through, because they're useless.
Yeah, and that was such a weird like I don't know, the whole thing. Like that triggered like a memory from my childhood too, of like the eyes in there, and then it's like the arm sticking out or whatever. And then even as a kid, I think I was like, is anything gonna happen with that? What's going on?
Why would that chain be there? Just to climb through this safely?
Yeah, and like he pulls the lever just to let them through safely. But what is this here for? What's going on? So they can like grab your ankles and do what? He goes, quit it. Like there's
no. If they got you, you're dead. Their fingers were like razor blades, and on the top of their arms was spikes.
I know they had spikes and stuff, but I didn't think.
If they grabbed you, they would pull you like through those grates. And I know you're like, I wouldn't fit, and you're like, you would when they pulled you.
Just keep pulling because they're so strong and crazy and stuff. Okay. I thought they like started to grab Dar, and he was just like, quit it, or whatever. I don't know.
Power of the plot.
Power of the plot there. No, that's fine. So more dangerous perhaps than I imagined.
Yeah. But I think that was dangerous enough.
The other disappointing part in terms of set pieces and action things or whatever is how later when 4 of them, I guess 3 or 4 of them come out with like the guys and all that stuff. They do this like elaborate thing, which is not that I'm going to be like, that was too convenient. Do you expect me to believe
somehow crushed each one of them at the perfect point?
Yeah, like there were too many things at once that were all perfect. And it didn't feel like, yay, adventure. It felt like, wait, what? Like the ferrets fall into the cart exactly after the people fell into the cart exactly.
Well, hang on. If we're going to talk about convenient and crazy, let's step back a minute.
Yeah.
So we have, the switch gets thrown, a thing gets lifted, it reveals there's a getaway thing.
The skull pitch.
Yeah, the 4 of them go down there with Rue, and they're down there. Ra.
I think we're saying the name wrong, but I'm just going to say Tiger from now on.
The Tiger to defend them.
I
think it's Rue.
Rao?
Whatever. to defend them. Then he like smashes it, and the thing drops back down.
Yeah.
And then they starts coming through breaking through the gate, and he's like, "Oh no!" And then the princess is back somehow.
She was like, I was just kidding.
How the hell did she get back out of there?
She didn't go in. She was hiding behind nothing.
That's bullshit.
Makes no sense
they
at all.
have problems with ladies in white in this movie. They don't understand where they are, how to get rid of them, what's doing.
They lose them.
Yeah.
Well, see, women are tricky, and this is the 80s, and they can just show up. It's fine.
Apparently, but I remember being like, "What?"
No, because she comes out from behind the big skull that was like wedging the thing. But before that thing was there, it was in the air, and if she was behind it, you would just see her standing there.
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
Nope, she wasn't there.
Then she says, "Let's go through the air shaft," which they crawl up this like incline shaft, which is fine, and the Death Guard can do that too, which is also fine. But then he's like has like a little bit out, and he's trying to break the rope and all that stuff, and then the bird just comes and bothers him, and he climbs all the way out and like jumps to his death.
Yeah,
for no reason. Then
birds incite all kinds of weird reactions.
Then they fall the same distance but into hay, so they're fine. And I'm like, okay, it's a movie, that's fine. Then they gallop forward, but the gate's closed, so the ferrets have to open the gate, and then the dude he has to like lay the ferret out. Like part of me was like, okay, one will start chewing the rope, and the other one will like sneak up on him, and that will cause him to do the thing. But they were both there. He had a full whatever. But the timing worked perfectly, which you could justify by him being able to see through the ferret's eyes and know what was coming or whatever. But then the like triumphant moment is that all the Death Guards lay down into the holes of like the like thing to all get killed.
They like run, the tops of their bodies hit the gate as it's coming down, their legs kick out, and then they get crushed, and you're like, okay.
Yes, but like
I guess
practically speaking, it looked like 4 men in costumes laying down to be crushed by a gate.
Well, that's what it was.
And then ferrets plopping it, into the thing exactly, and the heroes get away.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, like it's still charming. Like even the bad things about this are like charming. They're not like come on. I'm like
that's the whole beauty
charming.
of like things being shot on film and like caring about something enough to make it, but not enough to make it makes 100% sense. I like it. The Beastmaster will always be one of those things for me where I'm like, yep, that was great. I would like to see a thing where you take all the heroes from the 80s and 90s and put them together into one epic fantasy mix-up.
Yeah, I think as a property, this has legs, and like even in like the modern world, because now they would be CG animals, and people would be like, you can't have ferrets in your show or whatever. Because there are some scenes in here where, especially with like there was the quicksand scene.
Yeah.
Where the ferret's just like drenched, and he's just holding it like hello or whatever, and all that stuff, and he's like, "What's up, dude?" And I'm pretty sure that's I'm pretty sure with the horses and the moat and like the people and like at like no point were people like, we can't use a real ferret in this scene. That's dangerous.
No, that's before
they were just like, let's add some more. All right, we need more ferrets, and someone just like pops off the top of like a barrel and dumps out a bunch of ferrets, and they use them in the movie. Like it doesn't seem like the same amount of care, because these are literally all real animals. There can't be any trickery in any of these scenes.
No, there's not.
So everything's happening.
That's one of the things that makes it so cool too. Is like he was inches from a tiger for like months probably.
I know, which I'm on record as saying once I'm a famous actor, I will not do. I don't like animals. I ain't doing no movies with a bear or a chimp or any animal that can kill me. No, those are deadly.
I know.
Yeah, they just tear things off you. I don't want that.
You don't need your hands.
Animals know that something's wrong with me. They don't like me.
That's true.
They get all
Dogs
weird around
hate you.
me. No, I hate them. It's like mutual. I'm just like, how can I convince this dog to leave me alone? It doesn't work. They're like, what is he doing? What is he doing?
And I'm like, give it money.
And I'm like, what is he doing? What is he doing? Right? I think of a dog like a young child with knives. They don't comprehend the rules of life. They get like emotional and like upset for no reason, and they have deadly weapons at all times.
Yeah.
Not a fan. That's what this movie's all about. They don't have to make the tiger or like the bird or anything like scarier or like worse. There's no weird. There's sorcery, but he's very simple. It's like a very low level thing. The tiger doesn't have to do anything crazy. It just kind of lunges at people, and they react the way you would. Yeah, and that's fine.
Did you think that his village was kind of dumb?
Yes,
being
the stilts,
on poles. Yeah,
where you can knock over one house and have all the houses fall down.
Like when he's in there, it seemed like such a weird. I'm like, that seems so flimsy.
Well, in my head,
I know it's a cheap prop of a town, so it's not real.
when they first show it, I'm like, oh, well, he lives in a treehouse because he's the Beastmaster. And then very quickly, it's like, he's not the Beastmaster yet. He's still like chilling. What is he doing? And then they reveal most of the houses are like this. And I'm like, does it flood here? You're in the desert. Why are your houses on stilts?
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
Like, it didn't seem like it was for a safety thing because they all died.
It did not help them in any way.
No.
It only hurt them because the one house falls and like hits other houses and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was strange. And I'm like, what could the reason be? To get closer to the sun? That seems dumb. You're in the desert.
Just for coolness, I think. I think it's just.
Did you like some of the miniature works? How they did things? Like he'd be on the little thing and like looking down.
There was some like
thing.
projection stuff or whatever. Yeah, they had to show some things like he comes over the hill and you can see something. Sometimes my modern brain knows that like the depth of like the focus is not right or something, and it like hurts me.
Yeah, but it still worked.
Well, again, from like a charming angle, right? I go like, okay, but so like to get this out of the way, because we're going to do a lot of old movies or whatever, but like people used to just tell each other stories. They used to put on plays. They used to just like you used to have to figure out, okay, that's thunder, I guess, that noise they're making with that thing or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
And we've come like even like a like quote unquote like a bad movie with like cheap effects or whatever, if it's consistent and it like takes itself seriously and everything kind of works in the movie in like its own universe or whatever, like we've come so far, right?
Oh, tremendously.
So the idea of like, oh, you can tell it's just a guy in a suit is like, I know it's no. What do you mean this is not a documentary? It's not like real, barbarians fighting in like this impossible place with magic. Like, no, I know. Yes, it's a guy in a suit, but like, if they can make it work, if they can sell it, if it feels better than like a crappy, very very high pixel like modern thing that's bad, right?
I like Mark Singer's like a rendition of the Beastmaster. I like some of his little weird like trickery things where he's like,
yes,
all right, you sneak up on her.
That was amazing.
I'm gonna pretend that I'm saving her. He's very dangerous. Don't move.
The animal is
See if I
savage.
can go away.
And then like he's like kissing her and like shows up like the tiger's like, are we done with this crap? And he's like, dude, come on or whatever.
Blowing up my spot.
That was awesome. That was like anime caliber. Like this is the hero. He's on his like heroic quest and he's like, ooh, I could chase some tail over here maybe.
Yeah.
Or like, ooh, I'm gonna switch plates so I get some more food. And you're like, this is the hero of the whole thing. Like what's going on or whatever. It's perfect.
It humanizes the hero.
I love that though. I actually love that because he has his real moments, but then he has his like whatever things, and they establish that this maybe is like his like vice or his like issue or something like that because it repeats multiple times or whatever. Right?
Did you think it was a little weird when the baby gets carried away by the bird?
It wasn't even a baby. It was like
a toddler.
Yeah, no, it was way too big and way too old for that to happen. I'm glad you mentioned that because that wasn't in my things at the end to complain about section.
I was like, huh. That seems excessive.
And they kept cutting to it, and then nothing came of it. Well, he ends up with the kid. Like then it's suddenly nighttime, and he has the kid in like a sack, and he delivers
it back to the mom.
He delivers the kid back to the family. And part of me is like, the institutionalized cultism of this society. You didn't save anyone. They'd be like, well, there's the kid. Let's finish the sacrifice. They would have to hide this kid forever. Has to live in like the basement now.
The coolest part of that scene to me was how he had Kodo and Poto smell the sack and then sent him out, and then they found where the kid lives.
Right.
I thought that was cool. I was like, they're so useful.
Exactly. And again, to like beat the same drum, like when you have someone who's called the Beastmaster who has beasts, you have to figure out, well, which beasts could be around right now. How could he use them to solve the problem? Right? Don't just ignore them until you want to do something, like have it work into the thing. Right? He sends the bird to go get the guy later, which establishes that the bird can go like get people. So when the bird goes to get the winged beasts off camera, it feels right. You're not like, wait a minute. What do you mean, right?
Did you think it was a little strange that the bird, like he had the bird bring the necklace thing back? They gave this to you because you're cool with that bird.
Yeah.
If you just sent the bird back, though, that won't be enough. They'll need to know it's for you.
Need to know
because
it's really
you're cool. The bird was the god. The bird could be like, yo, come with me.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
They don't establish if all animals can communicate with each other in this world.
I know.
You kind of lead to believe that, yes, they can, which makes a lot of things seem strange, like animals eating other animals and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, no!
I know.
I have a family!
I know exactly what you're talking about, and my hope is that the Beastmaster is the conduit through which the animals can communicate. Therefore, if he's not communicating or like nearby to do his thing with them, then they will not be able to directly communicate.
Maybe.
That's my hope. Because at the end, right, they have the tiger and like the things like the ferrets like scratching up to each other and stuff like that, and they seem to be able to coordinate. Which must be him, right? I don't know. It's great.
It's never actually explained, but that's part of the charm.
It's a wonderful. That's what I mean. It's a wonderful, implementation of like a power. Because that goofy scene early on, where like the tiger's not quite playing ball, and he's like, "Dude, I'm chasing you away, right? Come on, let's do the thing."
Yeah.
That perfectly establishes, without having to have him by a campfire explain in great detail how this power works or whatever.
Yes.
Like later he just says, "I'm told this is unusual, but I see through my eyes and they see through mine." Like he just kind of like explains
in the show
high-level things.
It's very much just that, like, I can talk to them, I can ask them, they can do it or they cannot. And like certain times they're like, there's a fair, like, well, I protect them, or I save this guy, or I give, like, there's life debt type of things, it seems.
Yeah.
But then sometimes like he goes to stop a bear and the bear's not having it. He's mad with hunger. he's not stopping.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you could say, like, well, that's just whenever the plot needs it to be or something like that. But it's an awesome way.
It's also how life works. If I go down the
yes.
street and say, can I get a quarter, he might say yes, or he might stab me in the neck, because people are all different.
Well, and it would be a nice thing to have the plot do, right? Because you could have, if this was like a TV show in the 90s, which it was almost, right? Like, you'd have the one episode where the one...
It might have started in, like, 99.
Like, the one... Like, you could have you could have an episode where one of the animals is acting weird, and then, like, going away and coming back. Where were you? It's fine, right? Because something's happening, right? And this is his friend, but he doesn't want to, like, reveal that, like, his old enemy is nearby, or he has to go take care of something, but he doesn't want Dar to know, or some weird stuff, right? He's not just literally, I can mind control all of the animals, right? That adds all this flavor.
It's not mind control,
right? Which is dope, right? But they like respect him because it's like, whoa, most people can't do this. What's going on? He's like, oh well, there's a princess, and they're like, oh, that's awesome. And then the animals make friends with each other.
Yeah, is that like he's freeing things from traps and he's stopping hunters and he's like he's the man.
Well, yeah, he like proves himself to them in various ways and helps them out and stuff like that. But that's awesome. These are my friends. Sometimes we fight together. Oh man, that's great.
Actually, some flash in my head is coming to me about how he got this power. Actually, I remember something where I think the god gave him these powers, and he had to go through like a trial, and the trial was he had
in the show.
Yeah, he had to lay motionless for like 7 days or something, and like ants are like all over him, and like animals are eating like parts of him and stuff, and he never moves. And then at the end of it, I think he got his powers, or that might be how he got his powers back when he's lost his powers. Something happened, and I remember there being a trial.
Yeah, if a show goes on for long enough, you have to eventually do a bunch of that stuff where people lose their powers, or someone steals your powers, or something happens. And you have to prove yourself. Anything with gods too, you can have you have to prove yourself to the gods, right? All that business. I want to watch this show now.
I would watch it again.
I wonder how many episodes it is total.
Oh, it was probably like 5 seasons of 22 episodes.
Oh my god! I was gonna say, because sometimes it's like, that sounds lovely, and then it's like, that sounds like a lovely 13-episode thing. Yeah. And then it's like 26-episode thing, but then it's like, oh no, it was 170 episodes. It ran for so long. Oh no, crap.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Yes, sir. Just out of universe stuff.
Sure.
So part of me was like, oh, I'm curious about the director of this. Or whatever.
Okay, and who did direct this?
I don't know their name.
Oh, all right then.
Okay, well, because the name pops up, and I was like, wait, is that this guy? It's not that guy. It was Ronald something, Corsicelli or Corselli or something. I'm like, oh, is it this guy? It is the guy who wrote and directed a bunch of the Phantasm movies.
Oh, okay.
Which is crazy. I know. I was going to say. A mark of quality. Also, did Bubba Hotep.
I like that a lot, too.
Which may ring a bell, because that guy also did John Dies at the End.
Yeah, I did not like that movie very
I know.
much.
And I, in reading those 3 titles that are not Beastmaster movies, have now explained this man's entire career almost. There's a few shorts and a few episodes of things and a few other things, but it's mostly just Beastmasters, Phantasms, Bubba Hotep, and John Dies at the End. John Dies at the End, which we both read and loved, but the movie sucked.
It fell short for me just because it couldn't explain it in the detail that you got from the book.
I feel like we are book snobs about John Dies at the End.
I'm not even typically that way. Usually I'm like, oh, whatever, it's not the character. And I'm not. My problem is not it wasn't how I pictured it. It was just the amount of things that couldn't be put in the movie that are my issue. And like you hear people say that shit all the time, but so many amazingly awesome things, not little details, like big details that shape the plot of the story, just weren't in the movie.
I think the biggest issue to again to like defend ourselves is that I think you can watch, and I've never read anything in my entire life, but if you watch, I think, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, it might pique your interest to go read the book and then say, oh, wow, look at all this great stuff, right? But the way John dies at the end plays out, I think it would do the opposite.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to.
Well, it would either you would not be motivated to go check it out based on what you've seen in the movie, or even once you did, it would spoil some of the awesome reveals, but not have the awesomeness to back it up or whatever, right? In like the movie, so you would just be like, "Oh, I guess this is gonna be the part with this," because you would see it like coming or whatever, and it would be awful. Because so much of that hinges on these crazy twists and turns.
Yeah.
So if you know that she has a ghost hand, you would just be like, "Well, why doesn't just use?" Oh, okay, she has a ghost. You would just like, "No, right?
Yeah.
Oh, crap."
So good.
Yeah.
That's one thing. When I think back on that, I still picture the characters that I made in my head, and I don't replace it with like.
No,
well, usually I'll replace things.
Yeah.
Like the ones in the book in my head were way better.
I don't even picture real people when I read something.
Oh, you don't read.
I have an abstract mind. It's crazy.
Just blue. I pictured blue as the character.
Just rectangles. Just blue, yellow, and green rectangles.
Yeah.
Arranged in a pixelated. No, I don't even know what I picture. Last thing that I have to say about things. Let's put the notes away. I think that the priestess is his cousin.
Yes.
I think
that was something.
I think this is all about his cousin
so
and kissing cousins.
It's certainly his cousin. We don't know if it's by blood or by marriage,
Okay.
but yes, that is 100% what you find out when you find out that that's his dad. But then when you think about it this way, is that he is not of the same womb, so he's not actually blood. He's horse or cow or whatever.
I mean,
I wonder what that exactly does.
Started,
but it's all about how did it work? Did they take the life force and put the life force in here? Did they take the actual baby out and put the baby in there?
I don't know.
Those are the things and you'll never be able to know, which would make it if it's actually weird or not. It's still weird, actually, if it's against the laws of nature or not.
Okay, so my only and I can't even call this a problem because I don't care. But as a kid, I have no idea how I like interpreted all this or whatever, right? Because they showed the tattoo, and like I made a note actually, like very early on that I like pushed down once they explained it. But I made a note like, wait, I thought the guy with the tattoo was Dar's father. Who is this other kid now? How is Kira related? What? Like, I wrote that down, like, as soon as they find the Blind King, where I was like, wait, why is no one like, this is my father? Okay, good, so that was this. And wait, I'm this. Like, there was no, like, connective, like, thing, not even at the end. So, like, in the moment, I'm like, well, okay, they're busy, they're being chased by monsters and stuff, and they, not everyone knows all the pieces of the puzzle to put it together yet. But then later, everyone knows everything. He's the king now because he's the this. They know he's the other son from like 20 years earlier or something. Like, what's going on? It makes no sense. And no one said, wait, I'm this? That must make you that. Like that kid is like his quote-unquote brother now.
Yes.
And he was just like, how's he doing? Oh, he's fine. Okay, good, I'm leaving. There was no like, oh, let me go say goodbye to like my new brother that I just found. And like, hey.
Well, I don't think he wanted him to know because he didn't want to take over the throne.
Everyone reacts differently to situations in life. But still, it was very weird. There was no acknowledgement, I thought, of that.
This is the 80s. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
You could do whatever you want.
You could screw your cousin on top of a mountain.
Twice.
Yeah, no, like it was so like, and I mentioned earlier on purpose the Star Wars comparison or whatever, where
you
like
find out they're brother and sister.
Like the young hero spends the whole time trying to get some sort of like revenge, and then there's a big bad and like a magical worse big bad, and then you find out that the girl you've been chasing is actually related to you, and it's not cool. Only in this movie it ends with them kissing on a mountaintop and just zooming around.
Yeah,
it takes a very different approach to that complex issue of interfamilial
there were
love.
Thoughts and rewrites, and it got all lost as to which ending they went with, but that's what we got, and I enjoyed it. I gave this movie a thumbs up.
I still liked it. I still liked all this, and I just want to still apply my same process to it, just to not say, oh, it's great, it's all movie, I remember parts of that, and like to actually say, like, there are these problems there are these issues, stuff falls apart a little bit, but yes. Now, this is the kind of thing. I remember watching this stuff as a kid, too. finding cool things. This was my first exposure to some of these ideas about talking to animals or these sword and sorcery things. I feel like this played on Channel 11 like every day for a part of my life, and I saw this.
Yeah, well, they owned it, so that makes sense.
Exactly.
But yeah, so check it out, guys. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies. I gotta go.